All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DTX 210, Introduction to Social Design. This is week 11 of our class. This is brought to you by the Siebel Center for Design at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. We've got a class that's been exploring the intersection of social impact and design thinking and human-centered design. So that's where you are right now. We've got community conversation number 10 in week 11. Before we get to introducing our special guests, I'd love to just jump into a little bit of an agenda. Community college overview. We thought it would be interesting throughout the whole semester, 16 weeks, to have this inside-outside feel. So in these community conversations, we've invited folks from the actual neighborhoods and the actual community, in addition to our students from U of I who are taking this course for credit, into these conversations. So we're going to have some Q&A. We're going to have just a good time and learn from our two special guests today about their journeys in design, in social impact, and giving back to the community. We'll do the special guest introduction second, and then the fireside chat will take up most of the time here. If you're out there in the audience and you've got questions or comments or suggestions or things you want to throw into the chat, feel free to use that, and I'll moderate and bring those things to the surface. But yeah, feel free to kick your feet up, grab a cup of tea or coffee and a notebook, and we'll be having a good time here. So quick introduction. My name is Brandon Middleton. I live across these three contexts that you see in the slide. Professional Brandon, working at Amazon Web Services by day, focusing on fintech startup stuff, and then family Brandon in the middle. I got 3 kids and a bunch of stuff I juggle at home. And then community Brandon on the right. A lot of these social impact organizations I care a whole bunch about. So being able to pull them in and have conversations with the operators and to introduce to the students in the community some cool work is one of the pleasures that I've got these days. So really excited for that third piece. I'd like to hand it off to my co-instructor, Bert, to say a few words and say what's up as well. So Bert, pass the popcorn over to you, man.
Yeah. I'm Bert Zhang. I am a lecturer here at Siebel Center for Design. Previously, I was also in the Bay Area doing design consulting and strategy. I'm an amateur type designer, which you can see some of my work in the middle. And a lot of my background academically is in interactive arts, such as self-playing pianos.
Very cool. Thank you, Bert. And then this slide here, this is just some of the organizations that we've had come speak to us so far this semester, and then some that'll be joining us over the next handful of weeks as well. So you're getting a good sense of the types of orgs, whether they be local to Urbana and Champaign or whether they be national. These are some of the places that our students and our community are learning about. And in terms of what we focused on in the class, things like climate change, like these big macro issues, hunger, poverty, education, like a bunch of these big issues that society has to tackle. We're looking at how we can solve these through the lens of human-centered design. So been fortunate enough to been able to hear from a bunch of these organizations, and we have a few more on the docket over the next couple of weeks. But today we've got Europe in the house, Charles, and excited to have Terrence talk to us about his journey as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our guests. Charles, feel free to take a couple minutes to give the people, who you are, where you are, what you're up to. And then Hustle Simmons or Terrence Randolph, we're going to do the same exact thing. So Charles, popcorn over to you, brother.
Absolutely. So my name is Charles Dowdy, the fifth. That's right. 5 generations with the same name. Let's kick it off right there. From the south side, south suburbs, Chicago, born and raised. I went to U of I as well. So I've been in the seats that some of you are sitting in and seen the campus and been there. Got a grad degree at Illinois Institute of Technology. My whole career has just been working with people like myself and trying to get them a grind and a job and support and whatever they need. And currently, I am the Associate Director of Internship Services down here at Charlotte Marketing Year Up. And so Year Up, just a short synopsis of what we do, but I know we're going to get into that a little deeper, is we help students opportunity talent cross the opportunity divide. So there's a divide in this country where a lot of people that had a skill set, but they don't have the opportunity to get into the corporate world and be successful. So that is like the short synopsis, but I'm gonna get further detail a little bit later on. So I'm gonna pass it over to Hustle Simmons.
How you doing? I go by the name of Hustle Simmons. My government name is Terrence Randolph. I went to high school with Brandon. I'm from the west side of Chicago, went to high school in the south suburbs of Chicago. College, I went to DePaul University. After leaving DePaul University, I went to Illinois Institute of Art, Chicago for marketing. I'm a music exec. I built brands. I have my own agency called Watershed Creative Agency, where I connect artists and athletes with companies, basically. Currently, still doing that. I have a couple of artists, work with some bigger artists. I'm working with some athletes as well. But the past 6 months, I've been consulting companies on building entertainment space within the metaverse and the NFT space. So that's what my focus has been the last, 6 months, and, utilizing those companies that I work with to, anytime I do a deal, I make sure they have some type of component where they get back to the community. So these companies that's building out the metaverse and building out, their NFT sectors in their company, I'm making sure that they also put some money back into the community and also help me, spread that knowledge to the youth so they can get ahead of the curve and, start dealing with the metaverse and the NFT space in more of a direct way.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank y'all. I wanted to pop out of slide mode for a second and just give folks like a 2-minute synopsis. There's a cool video on the Year Up website that I wanted to show. So let me do this really fast. Jump over to our friend YouTube.
A year ago, I could not have conceived any of this. I could not have imagined that I'd be in the place that I'm in now.
Before Year Up, I was working 2 jobs.
I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with my life.
I knew college wasn't for me.
I was just stuck.
Year Up, at first, I thought it was a scam.
Yeah, because it sounds like too good to be true. Like, you're going to pay for me to go to school. And I'm like, what do I have to do?
Just hearing the success stories, I knew that I fit what Year Up was asking for. I was a young adult, motivated, and I just needed that opportunity.
The thing that really drew me to Year Up was the promise for not just a job, but a career.
Thanks to Year Up, I have been given the opportunity to intern here, but now I'm an official employee of this company.
I think Year Up is a great program. The interns made my life much easier. You're getting people who want to work, who want to be educated, people who want better. These big businesses, they focus and they stress the soft skills, things like how to write an email properly.
I didn't know that there was a proper way of shaking someone's hand.
Without Year Up, I would have been lost at my internship.
It wasn't just the support that I got from other people in the program. The support that I got from Year Up, I would not be here if it were not for them.
It makes you feel like somebody is in your corner.
I wish I knew about this when I was in high school coming out.
I'm teachable, I'm coachable, and I want to work.
All right. So that gives you a sense of, what Year Up is up to, and that focus on the youth that Terrence, you talked about. I thought it was interesting. Maybe we kick off the conversation with the question about kind of your work right now. Did you always know, kind of from a little kid on the west side of Chicago, that this space that you're in, kind of connecting brands, community, and technology together, did you see that for yourself, or did it kind of make itself like apparent to you as you got older and kind of more into the game? Did you try and experiment with things, or did you have a straighter line?
Absolutely not. Like, I didn't know, I mean, growing up, I didn't really have like that one thing that I wanted to do. I just enjoyed being a kid. I was always into electronics. I was always into computers. I was always just learning. I had, we was in band together, so I played drums. Like, I was in Spanish club. I was in a bunch of different things. My mom wanted me to go to school to do more stuff in computer engineering. However, I was like, nah. And then she was like, well, my mom's a nurse. So she was like, if you're not going to be playing sports anymore, you should do something in the medical field. I used to be a huge fan of Chip Schaefer. For those who know, he was the trainer for the Bulls doing, when Michael Jordan was playing. I was like, oh man, I'll be able to work with like people like Michael Jordan and help them, but I don't have to be on the court. So I went to DePaul as a bio major, but I didn't like blood. So when I did an internship with a doctor, I seen some blood, gross stuff. I couldn't do it. And a girl I was dating, she told me, she was like, yo, you have this like marketing mind. She was like, you're really good at when you speak, people listen. You're very good at like rallying the troops and like selling people on stuff, like, and you always got the new Jordans on. You always got, I like the way you dress. You should go to school for fashion marketing. I was like, all right, cool. So when I started going to school for fashion marketing, I learned about marketing. And I was like, wow, if you know the basics of marketing, you could do whatever with that. It don't have to be just, fashion. And I was throwing parties in college to pay my tuition, and I was coming up with all these crazy ideas to like promote my parties. And I was taking the stuff I was learning, in school. And I got an opportunity to work at Nike and work with the Livestrong team when they first kicked off the Livestrong team back in the early 2000s. Then I got recruited by Adidas to come over there and do marketing. And literally what I figured out was, as long as I know the basics of marketing, I can dabble in three worlds that I love. I love fashion, I love sports, I love music. So I literally was just figuring it out as I went, and God was just pushing me in the path. And then, next thing I know, I start working with this. I got an opportunity to work with this guy that was a basketball player out of Akron, Ohio. He was in his second year in the league. He would go by the name of LeBron James. And he had a friend and a partner named Rich Paul before Rich Paul became the legendary agent that he is now. And I started working with them guys, and they just opened up my mind to a bigger world. But if you would have asked me this when I was 16, 17, if I'd be doing what I'm doing, no, I wouldn't have. I would be like, no. But I just tell people in life, you never know. So I was one of the fortunate people to not necessarily have a blueprint, but I always did the work. So as long as I did the work, I was always able to find opportunities. But yeah, I just, God was just pushing me in a direction, and I just trusted that. And I trusted myself. I trusted my hustle, hence the name. And yeah, I just started like going in that direction. But what I didn't do was ever lose that childish excitement that I've had. Like, like now I get to hang with, the biggest athletes in the world, the biggest artists in the world, and I don't take it for granted. So I'm very professional with them. But I mean, you still like, I was at All-Star Weekend, you see LeBron James, it's like, dude's a superhero. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see Jay-Z, it's like, whoa, like, so I've just never lost that. And what I was always able to do was, be in these rooms, but also never forget that I'm a West Side Chicago kid, right? And understand that by my parents working hard, they was able to get me out the hood and move me to the burbs and give me an opportunity. But all I'm trying to show kids is that you don't have to have a wicked jump shot or know how to rap to make it out. You can work in any field and still be cool. You can work in any field and still, represent your neighborhood. You can still put on for your people. You can still be true to yourself. And that's all I've ever, tried to do, and I'm continuing to do that. So no matter, as things happen, like I would have never thought that, companies from around the world would be reaching out to me to consult them on the entertainment industry and how to convert that to, metaverse and NFT space. Like I would have never thought that, right? But I still never lost sight on where I'm from. So yeah, I can be getting paid a lot of money to be doing this. However, it's bigger than that. It's like, okay, I'm learning about this and I'm 40. I'm getting this access later in life. Y'all are paying me this, you are paying me X amount of dollars. Okay, I'll take less money if you can take the remaining money and create something where we can teach a 15, 16-year-old kid to look just like me this now. So by the time he's my age, he's running laps around everybody. So I've just always, had that in me. Like no matter what I'm doing, I'm gonna find a way to have some type of community aspect to it and some type of educational piece, because no one showed me. I've just learned on the job. And I think, and I know that if I'm able to show kids at the earliest stages, it'll allow them not to make some of those mistakes that I've made, and it could fast track them to whatever in their mind what success is faster than it was for me.
Yeah, like that experimentation we talk a lot about in class, like how you, as a designer, you prototype something after you got minimal data on it, you put out an MVP. It's not perfect, but you can learn from it, and you iterate and you iterate and you iterate. But boy, if you got a recipe or a North Star or somebody to show you the way, you can get to good a lot faster. So I appreciate that overview and kind of that background. I want to ask Charles the same thing. I was going to fast forward one slide and ask kind of how you got started, what's some of your inspiration for the work that Europe does, and what you do on a day-to-day basis. So Charles sent me a little collage. I'm gonna hand the popcorn over to you, man, to walk us through that.
Absolutely. So this is what I call my why slide. So I got to say, and I say I drive with my why, right? And so when I'm in an organization doing something, I gotta have my North Star, my center, like that fuel that's gonna keep me going when the highs get high and the lows get low, to do what I do. And so if you're checking out the slide, of course, the background is one of Chicago's snowiest winters that ever kind of happened, when everybody got stuck on the Lakeshore Drive there. And that just keeps me humble. Like that's my city, through the ups and the downs and all the different things. And then if you go across to the center there, I can start with, my favorite deep dish pizza, just represent Chicago. Every time I'm in a different state, I've been in Seattle, I'm in Charlotte now, they were like, yo, what do you think about a pizza? Like, no, it sucks. Let's go with the deep dish pizza over here. And then, so we get over here and I'm representing the two schools at the bottom. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to each of those schools. I was there with Brandon Middleton. We met before, like, the pre-orientation thing that we had to do. And that's when I first met Brandon, and we've been close since, and doing striving different things. And I got my degree there with community health and disability studies. So that was my degree. And then I went on to get my master's degree in rehabilitation counseling at Illinois Institute of Technology with a concentration in assistive technology. And so I put a lot of work into those degrees. That's why they represent me there. And then, so let's get into some of the nitty gritty things there. And so right there is an older picture of my family. It's probably about 5 years old, I would say. I need to update that. And so that is the center of my drive, growing up, having a family that was broken and being able to, pour in and build my legacy and set the trend and set the table for my kids to be able to jump off the highest ledge possible. And so that is my driving factor. Then I have my wife, who is like a super strong pillar in society. If you Google her, you will find her. Her name is Heather. Her work speaks for itself, but I'll let her do that one day, or you can find her on your own there. And then, so I have the Spiritual des Youth. So this is when I was a dean of the high school in Chicago at Gwendolyn Brooks. It's on the South Side. It's one of the preparatory schools. And I I always had this passion in this heart for youth because I can always, one, see myself in them, and two, have this strong rapport to be able to communicate with them and create what I call impact moments. And so that's what that drop in the bottom, an impact. So an impact moment basically is when a light switch goes off. And it's like when I engage with you, engage you in a positive way that it changes the trajectory of your life, your thinking, your thoughts. And so I've been striving off that my entire career, going from, I started with working with students with disabilities, special education. Then I went to private practice as a therapist. Then I went to working as a residential therapist for boys for the state ward of the state up in the north there. Then I went and worked as a behavioral intervention specialist at a school with students with disabilities. I went to Brooks, and then I ended up a year up in Seattle market, where I've been through several different positions there to gain an understanding of what the whole program we do. And so what I'm doing a year right now is I am the Associate Director of Internship Services, which means our program is a year long. Typically, that's the base program. We have other programs that deviate from that, where the first 6 months, we're teaching them soft skills on our end, but we also get them college credits in like tracks like IT, data analytics, different things. And then we'll put them on internship with all the big name companies in our region. And we're like across several states and several cities in the state doing the same thing with a large network. And so I'm on the side where I manage the internship. So I support them and they're giving those skills to be successful in internships so they can convert over to positions when this all is done. So the end goal is for them to go through our program and end up with a full-time job salary, which kind of changing their life and their trajectory. And so that's, a short end, with more details. We got any follow-up questions for that?
Yeah, feel free if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I will say like that, Terrence and Charles, like you could hear the heart for the community, and they come at it from a little bit different directions where, one of them's consulting and making sure that there's a carve out for the community and for the teens to be able to eat from. And then Charles is a little bit more systematic in that, this is a social impact organization whose main focus is to kind of immerse their students and the folks that they're trying to help into the corporate American culture. And having worked in it for 20 years or so, I've seen enough of it to know that there's, so much more work to be done. So salute to both of y'all for your different angles. I put like a little bit of a spin on one of the photos you sent me, Terrence, but like I'm gonna throw it to you for your inspiration. I think it's obvious on the right side, but the left one I threw in there as well.
Yeah. So my inspiration is my daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter. She's definitely my broke best friend. She just kind of realized, she used Google and realized who I was and like what I do for real. So now it's like, it's on and popping now. So she's basically the authorized user of all my bank accounts. But, I sent that picture. That's my why, making sure she has everything in the world and she's afforded she can go to school and not worry about how to pay for school and some of those things that we've had to worry about. That I remember seeing other kids in my class that just went to college and was like, let me just figure it out. And I'm like, bruh, I got to go work 2 jobs and then go to class and do stuff like that. So I'm just trying to make it easier for my daughter. Also, on the left, I just did a partnership with Mass Appeal and Amazon. They have a new app called AMP. Any of you guys can download the app. You can use access code. You just put my name, Hustle Simmons, as access code, and basically you can make your own radio show. And you can host a show on community and play music that's based around community. One of the latest deals that I've done a few deals with different companies, and I'm honored to do that. I didn't have a lot of pictures for my inspiration because it's pretty simple for me. It's my daughter, but it also comes from like family, right? So I'm about legacy, and I treat things like I use a lot of sports analogies. And I usually say, like, I treat it like a jersey, right? On the front of the jerseys, usually like that'd be Amazon or AMP, that'd be LeBron James company, that'd be, you know, whoever is cutting that check for me or needing my help, whether it's my artist, whatever, right? But my inspiration is that name on the back, that Randolph. You know what I'm saying? I can have all the monikers and nicknames, but when I wake up and I go out there every day, I want to keep my family legacy going. I want to make my family proud. And every day, I work just as hard now than I did when I was 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to put in the work because I've single-handedly broke a lot of family curses in my family. And I'm proud of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I treat my inspiration. The last slide, when my man had his stuff with his family and the pizza and stuff like that, I related to all of that. Like, I related to all of that. I travel the world. I've been to Italy and they have a Chicago pizza place in Italy and it was trash. And I'm like, bruh, Chicago has the best pizza. You know what I'm saying? Like I relate to that. Like, I carry Chicago, you know, I wear that on my sleeve. But, you know, I think I try to tell people most inspiration should be, first and foremost, always should be family. It should always be your last name. Because when you take your last breath, no one is going to remember how much money you got. No one's going to remember what the outfits were or if you was the highest jumper, but they're always going to remember, you know, that impact that you left on people. What did you do for your community? What did you do for your city? What did you do for yourself? So, yeah, man, it's my daughter and my family. And, you know, I'm able to get these deals and these brand partnerships with different companies as I go, because I'm doing it from a pure space. Like, I'm not doing it for the money. The money's great. I'm doing it for my legacy, you know, and I'm proud that people know me around the world for being in music and certain things I've done. And that makes my mom proud. That makes my dad proud. That makes my family proud. So that's what I'm about, man. I keep it really, really simple. But if any of you guys, I don't know if everybody here is from Chicago, but Chicago got the best food in the world.
Yes, indeed.
And we're gonna stay there. Got the best food.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, and I agree. I mean, the deep dish out here on the West Coast, they try, but it's just not quite. It's just not quite the same, man. So, yeah, let me pivot the conversation over to. We had a question, David. If you wanted to come off mute and ask that question that you had in the chat, feel free to, brother. And if not, I can read it off here. I think the question here was about graduating college and the programs, Charles, that you're running with Europe. So talk to us about whether folks are coming in, straight from the community into these programs, or if they're coming doing college full time. Like, just explain a little bit more about the typical student or the typical situation that comes in.
So yeah, typically students can range. You could come straight out of high school. You could come with a little bit of college education, and sometimes up to like a bachelor's degree in education. And so we have different programs that mix and mingle. And so we serve anywhere between 18 to 29-year-olds, depending on the location or region. And it's coming straight out of high school, some of them. And it doesn't matter if you've got a degree or not. I mean, the point is that we're trying to get the organizations that we work with to understand is everything that you have, it doesn't always take a degree to get started. And so we've been treaded into these markets and grabbing these entry-level positions. And with like 6 months of education and some additional skills, I got some students coming out making salaries bigger than mine. Like in my Seattle region, I had somebody with a 6-figure salary. But on average across the country, we hit about the 45 to 50 mark, depending on what track it is and whatnot. In little as like 6 months of education and 6 months of professional skills, prep and coaching along the way. And so when you're coming into the program, we look at it if you have the grit, you look at if you have the tools, you look at if you're ready to start it. Because last thing we want you to do is to start our program and not be ready. And so And we understand we can get students ready, but you got to have this grit. You got to have a little bit of stability, and we'll work with you to get to that point so you can come in the program and be successful. So, yeah.
Very cool. That's like a non-traditional, and Terrence, you probably have a little bit to say too about like, if you're working with artists and people that have gone the non-traditional path, let's say, not going to a four-year university, graduating, going into like corporate job. What have you seen in terms of people who buck the trend and how well they can do and how much insight they can bring into kind of situations now that you're in these rooms with these companies and these brands full of people that have gone like the traditional route, but you're able to like offer them some unique cultural kind of just this background and feedback that they've not gotten from other places. So talk a little bit about, what you've observed, what you've been able to work through and craft in your career from that regard, kind of going the non-traditional path.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish school. Like, I went to DePaul for a couple of years for bio, and then I was like, nah, that's not it. I went, finished my prereqs at Harold Washington Community College downtown, and then I went to the Illinois Institute of Art for fashion marketing. And what's funny about that is when I was working at Adidas, I got promoted. And at that school, they had a lot of people from the industry as instructors. And one of the instructors actually worked under me for Adidas. And it was just a wild situation when I'm in college and I'm sitting in a class where someone's teaching me that literally like, they don't answer to me, but I have a higher position than them within this company and I'm still in school. And shortly after that, my senior year, I literally dropped out because I had an opportunity to go work for LeBron James. And I was like, yo, this opportunity, I'm like, this dude is special. Like, he might be one of the greatest players one day. Like I don't know. I can always go back to school, but I have to take this, position. And I say all that to say, it depends. I feel like it's on the person. If you want that job, if you want that position, degree or not, you will get it if you go about it the right way and you put in the work. And I've been in rooms where some of the people who don't have the 4-year degree or didn't finish college or went to college are way more in tune with culture than some of the people who went to college and they look at everything from a book standpoint. And I personally feel, college isn't for everybody. You got to blaze your own path. I know people who never stepped foot in college and they went and got a trade, but they was always learning. And, they're rich. You know what I'm saying? I know people who went to college, got 4-year degrees and relied on a degree and didn't bet on faith or bet on themselves, but they relied on a degree and they not making money. They're not walking in their path and their truth. So I really just say it's on that person. I've been places where people look down on me because they was like, oh, he don't got no college education. I actually had someone that looked just like me. I was working with a company, I won't say their name, and they flew me to New York and we all went out to like a team dinner and, and the girl was talking to me and she asked me some questions. I said, yeah, I had a partial scholarship to DePaul University. I went to DePaul University in Chicago. And she looked at me like, DePaul what or DePaul la? And I'm like, DePaul with the L, the Blue Demons. And she says, wow, I would have never took it if you went to a school like that. I just thought, you was just like a hustler. And she did it just like this. And I was just like, okay, but no, I went to college, and, I took, I learned a lot by the people I met in college, right? So I've been able to be successful in business because I met people from all over the world when I was at DePaul. I met Indian kids, Asian kids, I met kids from inner cities, from other cities. Like I met everybody, right? And by having those conversations, I got to see how they think. And I learned how to communicate with them and navigate to them. So it was nothing for me to go into any boardroom and convey my thoughts and sell a product or get that deal done. So, I think, the things that we do for community, I think is very, 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 very important to build with people that's not from your same community, but from other communities. So you can learn certain things from them, like how certain things work. You know what I'm saying? How the streets of Chicago are run, we go by a different code than what people on the West Coast or people down South go by. You know what I'm saying? I have friends from that's in the tech world. They from Nigeria. Nigeria is booming right now in the metaverse and NFT space. Like they building, it's companies popping up everywhere. And by talking to them, their thought process and how they view culture, how they view family, and how they view business is so different than us, right? But there's certain things and ideologies that they have that it's like, then look at it like that you pick up on, and then it's like it's like a bowl of gumbo. You just add different flavors and different seasons from all over. And I just think it's very important to have that drive and meet people that don't look like you and talk to them and read between the lines and learn from them. So whether you have a degree or not, if you want to make it, if you want that job, and if you walk it in your truth, you're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, college isn't for everybody. There's people that never finished because they couldn't afford to, not because they couldn't do the work, but so you can finish. That don't mean you have to give up, on your dream. My boy, Rich Paul, he's the most powerful agent in sports. He's not a lawyer. He didn't go to, a prestigious university. You know what I'm saying? He was a hustler. He was a part of the culture. He was managing artists. He was part of the management team for top 5 greatest athletes in the world in history of sports. So, the fact that, he walked in his truth, he learned, he prepared, he outworked the competition. They made a whole rule in sports trying to not have a next Rich Paul come where, you need a 4-year degree, because he understands culture. And so he was able to get in the system and say, yo, these rules and these bylaws are outdated. This is not how the world goes. This is how my artists and this is how my athletes going to be. And literally he just blew it up, and they try to create this rule about it. But I say all that to say is like, what's for you is for you. So, don't let the degree define you. Like Charles is not defined by his degree. Charles is defined by the work and the sacrifice he made to get that degree, because that same sacrifice that he made to get that degree, he had to make that in his everyday life with his family. He had to do that just being a Black man in America. He had to do that, you know what I'm saying, to teach kids at Gwendolyn Brooks. So it's like, whether he has a degree or not, he has a work ethic and he has a drive that he's going to get the job done regardless. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the same way. So I don't want anybody to think just because they didn't finish school that they can't get into certain programs. If you go up there and talk to the teacher and you persuade them and you have a plan, you have a mission, they might just say, you know what? I can't let that pass. Here, I gave you the opportunity, and I've been there. So
yeah, I love to hear you kind of double click into that. And I think to that point about kind of crossing boundaries and ethnicities and cultures, Bert asked a really interesting question in there. Bert, I'll pass you the popcorn and you want to read it out. We've got all different diverse backgrounds and walks on the call. So this is like especially relevant probably for all of us who are looking to cross boundaries more effectively.
Yeah. So, you both talked about giving back to your community, or like, it's kind of a cliche phrase, but that's what you've been doing. And I was wondering about, the fact is that there are communities out there that like systemically are not in a position to be empowered immediately. Like maybe in 10 years or in, 15, 20 years, they'll be in that position where they can, have a pipeline where they can help themselves up. But the reality is that there are communities out there that aren't at that stage yet and could really use outside help, or might benefit from outside help. How do you approach those situations? I don't know if you have been in that situation where you're trying to make social impact for a community that is not yours, and or from the other way around, thinking about other people coming to your community. Like, what's the ideal kind of partnership of a non-native in the social impact space? Or should that just be a taboo thing in general, and like, let's avoid that because there are too many problems, too many complexities? What are your thoughts?
I'll let Charles go first.
Cool. So my initial thought for that question is, because of the program I serve right now, and we have every student that comes to the program has a diverse background. And so my general sense is, like, outside of what we do is, like, I build legacy. And so legacy is people. So if I'm able to change that individual or give them the opportunity to make a change, then that changes their legacy, and they can take that to the community. People, make up communities, and you change enough people, or you change enough fish in the water, then we can change the water and get down to the soil, which is the root of all this stuff that's going on. And so as far as like doing that and crossing over, like just hearing people, respecting them. Like, I can't live your experience because you lived your experience. I got to hear what you need so you can do what you need to do to achieve the goals, to make impact. I think for me, it's yes, I can go in and help, but that might be a one-time thing. But if you come from that community, you live in there every day, then you can help way more than I can. For example, I went on a mission trip to Haiti with a team of doctors, and I'm not even a doctor. And I just went to do whatever I could do down there. And we dropped in, helped a bunch of people. But the thing is, that was just a one-time thing, and they still need the help. But if I give somebody a fish, versus teaching them how to fish, the old saying is the way. And so if we go to Haiti again, like, all right, let me teach you a business idea, get you a product, and do like a micro investment thing so you can change this and get it rolling. And so it's like, that's like my general thoughts on the question. I hope I answered that for you.
For me, he hit it right on the head. Like, I'm in the entertainment space, so the average person I meet is from a different community than me. So, like Charles said, like, my job isn't necessarily to go into that community and try to change it how I see it should change. What I tend to do is, the people that I meet from other communities, I give them the tools that they need they know their community better than me. So like he said, so if I'm giving you certain tools, you can go back to your community and amplify whatever way faster and way bigger than I can, because I'm not from there. So it's no difference than when someone hires me to consult. They hire me we're trying to market this product to your community. We don't know the community. However, we're going to give you these tools to take our messaging and our whatever, and you do it how you do it, and you make it go in your community. So, but I think it's all about, like, listening first, right? You can't be a leader without first being a follower. You can't be a true leader if you don't listen to the people that follow you. So when I meet people, I listen to them. I currently manage 2 gay artists. I'm a heterosexual male from the west side of Chicago, and I can't tell them how to be. You know what I'm saying? All I can do is learn from them, and we have conversations, and all I do is give them tools about how to navigate life. Take that and you do what you do. However, they're teaching me certain things about their community, and I'm seeing things that's missing. So it's not my place to go into their community and just be like, yo, I'm your super ally, y'all should do this. No, I'm your ally, but I'm about to empower one of your own to be your Superman and do good things. So I think it's really important to meet, learn first, listen to people from your outside communities, because I think and I'm pretty sure Charles can agree with this. When you go into certain communities and certain countries and certain places that's foreign to you, and you go there and you're genuine and you listen and you really take in the culture, yeah, you're giving people some tools to change their community. But by the time you get home, you've learned some things that are going to change you forever in how you view your own community. You know what I'm saying? It might be things that you don't appreciate in your own community. It might be certain things that you didn't even realize, was even going on. Like you say like, oh, if I go to Haiti and teach them how to fish, instead of just giving them fish, he might look at that and be like, damn, you know what? How many kids at Gwendolyn Brooks ever been fishing or know how to cook? Do any kid in Gwendolyn Brooks want to be a chef? Like it triggers things when you're doing it the right way. If you're going in there with these ulterior motives, oh, I want to go get a picture in Haiti and be like, hey, it don't work that way. But when you're genuine, you're gonna naturally be changed as a person.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. And this is one of the reasons why design is so important, because you can actually design with the heavy hand so that the inputs and the feedback that you're getting back are kind of articulating the bias that you have. So it's not really like somebody's free choice and you kind of guiding them in a direction, or you could like design a system that is doing exactly what they're saying in terms of it being open, it being a resource or a platform that they are more in control of than you as a designer are kind of pushing them in that direction. So yeah, I love the conversation and the narrative about kind of providing that support without kind of channeling them into any particular corner or direction, kind of based on the community's needs. So David, I see that hand, bro. Feel free to come off mute and ask the question if you got one, man.
Yeah, I had a question that applies to kind of both of you. When you're talking about like the job positions you guys have now, and like in regards to Terrence, like the spaces he's in right now, like how do you really like market yourself in a way where like people kind of like will take a chance with you and like give you the tools you need to like really succeed or help boost their company?
I live by a saying that one of my OGs in music taught me early on. He said, let the work show. At the end of the day, you could talk, you can have the commercials and all that's that the third, but at the end of the day, like in sports, are you putting numbers on the board? For me, it's about, what revenue am I generating for the artists or the athletes that I work for, right? But what also opportunities that I'm getting for them. So I'm able to, first and foremost, do the work, put the numbers on the board, but then convey the story of, yo, this is how I made this happen. Sometimes it's hurt me, but a lot of times it helped. But no matter what, your work speaks for itself first and foremost. And it's a lot of used car salesmen out there. It's a lot of people that I've come across who, they pull up in a nice car and they iced out and they get all this stuff and they talk a good game, but they didn't put no numbers on the board, because at the end of the day, especially in the entertainment industry, you one phone call away. So it's not even no point of lying. Oh yeah, I worked with blah blah. All right, cool. Click. Yo, so did you work with, who was that? I never worked with him. Okay, cool. So you let your work show. But I think as you go along and you do the work and you read the room, you will find how to, that conversation piece, right? You're gonna find a way to bring it up in conversation without make it seem like you're selling yourself to somebody or whatever the case may be. I've just learned that. I've just learned it through just on the fly. But like their program, like there is a way to shake a hand. There is a way to send an email. There is a way to talk to somebody and look them in the eye and tell them what you about. That if you look them in the eye, just say your name. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm happy to be here. Hopefully after this, I can talk to you more about that, blah, 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 blah. And you give them a firm handshake and it's genuine, they'll remember you way more than the person came up there, yo, man, I did this, da, 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 da. Like, you know, so yeah, let your work show and just, you know, read the room. For me, that's in my industry, that's how I treat it.
So, you know, jumping in on that question, I mean, that just brings up the thought of one of the things I teach my students. But the thing is, first, you got to know who you are, your core. You got to know your core values. You got to know your strengths. You got to know your growth areas. You got to know all these different things. And what I do personally inside a corporation and what I do with my coaches directly is I teach them how to not code switch, but code shift. Like switching implies that you turning one part of yourself off and you turning something off. I'm talking about shifting. So that's like you putting on a new coat, but it's still you. And so teaching them how to, one, build their core, build their personal brand based on who they are, because the genuineness is going to come through, you know? And so that's my thoughts on that. That's what I do.
Yeah, that was a bar. That was a bar. The code switch, that was a bar.
Yeah, we still in that, brother.
That was a bar. Like I mean, that's real. You know, you don't have to change who you are because you're in a room with Jay-Z versus you being in a room with Celine Dion. You know what I'm saying? And I think you brought up, you know, knowing your core values. At the end of the day, I love me some me. I am comfortable in my skin. Life is a contact sport. So it's like, yo, like I'm competitive as hell, but I know who I am and I know where I'm from and I know where I'm going. So I'm in the entertainment industry. You know what I'm saying? They always say sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's real. I've been in rooms where everything around me was against my moral beliefs. And you know what I did? I left that room. It don't matter if it's a situation where I can make $1 million or whatever the case may be. I know who I am. And I think when you know who you are and you know your strength and your weaknesses, what you're about, what you're not about, you're going to be able to navigate and have conversations and exude that confidence and exude certain things to get people to believe in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to talk to the youth and get them to not look at you as an old head and teach themselves. Because I remember growing up when people come to Rich South and give us talks, they were just talking to me. I wasn't trying to listen to them. I was just like, whatever. Later on in life, I realized they were speaking some truths, but the way they talked to me, it didn't communicate. I feel like, nah. So I've been able to find a way of communicating with the youth in a way where they see themselves in me, you know what I'm saying? And it's first about loving yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you don't love yourself, then how are you supposed to love your kids, your wife, your husband, your fellow coworkers, your fellow man? So I think, you know, when you're out there trying to get into the workforce or the workplace and you're trying to figure stuff out, yeah, it's gonna be hard. But if you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm gonna win and lose on me, not because of nobody else. If you can't look at yourself and say that, then there's a problem. Don't ever put yourself in a position where, oh, I didn't get that opportunity because I let this person do. No. It's on you to love yourself and figure it out and go do it. So, you know, what he said is a bar, you know, and yeah, I might steal that. I'll give you a 10%.
Another open hand from David. Don't smack nobody, but if you got a question, man.
Yeah, I'm asking a lot of questions, but like I'm thinking about just starting off, like where, like I'm guessing, what can you do to like, I guess, show people that, show people your work and like what you're doing and your skills, just starting off, not like any status or anything?
Yeah, I'll acknowledge that it's harder to do in the beginning, like you just, graduated or you just starting. And it's harder to establish yourself early on when you don't have that track record and that brand built. So I'll, if Charles, you want to take a first stab and then Terrence, you second. That's a good question though, David, because I was in the beginning of my career just trying to put one foot in front of the other. So Charles, let's start with you, man. How did you establish yourself kind of early on?
Oh man, that's a tough question for real. Early on, in my career, I was just, the first thing I did was like figure out like, what am I doing? What is my goal? And what is my drive? Like I said, I had to start with my why. And once you have like that why, then you can like sprout out to what you want to do. And then when I understood that I needed some help getting in somebody's door to start, then that's where you begin to try to network, or you begin to put your best foot forward. So you got to learn how to talk to other people and see what's going on, investigate like the different agency. Like my first job right off the bat was at a special education district of Lake County up north. And I didn't even hardly live up there just yet, but I just knew some people that knew the area, and I started working those angles and talking to them. And then once you get in the door, you start establishing your brand. And so like, that's what I did to start. But like you say, you're going to take some bumps and bruises along the way. As long as you're learning from that and growing from that, that's the positive. So.
Yeah, I feel that. And to know that you didn't have your, the slide that each of them showed, that inspiration and that why slide figured out. I don't necessarily know that anybody was like telling me to put that together. You kind of have to figure that out kind of for yourself, and you'll learn it as you go. So before I hand over to Terrence to jump in on that one, I'd say to be graceful with yourself, be nice to yourself, but definitely be like working towards establishing what those things are for you.
Yep.
For me, I tried to network. I went into people that I admired and looked up to. I asked for internships. In the entertainment space is kind of different, so I'm like, yo, I carry the crates into the club. I pass out the flyers. And what I learned was I had every door slammed in my face, essentially, right? Because in entertainment, people feel like you have this window because of your age, right? So sometimes when you're older and you're established, it's kind of scary when you have this young, hungry person like, yo, I want to do this, because they feel like, oh, you're trying to take my spot. You're trying to take my seat. So I had basically every door slammed, in my face. And that's when someone told me like, yo, let the work show. So that forced me to be a disruptor. So I was like, oh, well, okay, you're not going to give me the opportunity to showcase what I can do. And you're not going to allow me a seat at the table so you could teach me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that void by utilizing the people around me. And I'm going to show you. And those people that was my idols that didn't give me that opportunity, then they became my rivals. So now I'm like, okay, I'm competitive. So now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to show you. And I took it a day at a time. I took many, I tell people, I never lose. Even when I take an L, it's still a win, because it's a teachable moment. It only become that loss if you do the same thing again and it's the same result. So if you touch a hot stove and you burn your hand and you learn, don't touch a stove while it's hot. You learn something. But if you come back the next day and you touch it again, it's like, bruh, what are you doing? Like that's a L. So mine was a little bit different. I had to become a disruptor, and that's how my career, I've been a disruptor my whole career. I feel like, instead of complaining about something. Oh man, they're not doing enough shows for young people. They're not doing this. Why ain't the community doing this? Why ain't this going on? I became a solution. I became a void filler. So whatever I felt was missing in the game, I created it. And I was able to, to do certain things. I've given people like Big Sean some of his first shows, J. Cole. I worked with everyone from Jay-Z, Wiz Khalifa. When I get off this call, I'm hosting a show tonight with Big Crit and my boy Smoke Dizza. These are my peers. These are my friends. These are people that I helped everywhere from the backpack, burning CDs, doing whatever, but I figured it out on my own. By doing that, I took the road less traveled. You know what I'm saying? I started in this when I was 24. I was broke till I was 30. By the time I turned 31, I was a millionaire. By the time I turned 32, I had $200 in my bank account. Like, that's really how it's just been, in my career. But I've learned. So that's why now where I'm at, it's very important for me to teach the next Hustle Simmons, groom the next Hustle Simmons to be a million times better than me. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, 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 very hard at first to get your name out there. But that's when you get battle tested. If you can't go through the pitfalls and stuff like that and bounce back, then you tripping, because one day when it gets successful and when it starts happening for you, sometimes the funds get taken out of it. It becomes a job. Now you have to maintain. It's not that hard to get there. It's hard to stay there. You know what I'm saying? So, there's things where I look back at when I was first out of college trying to figure stuff out. I'm like, yo, that was low key the best time of my life. I was broke. I was eating Easy Mac, but I had a dream. I had a why. I was hopping on the train, the bus. Like, life wasn't really that bad. But now it's like, you got the IRS, you got kids, you got family, you have employees. People say they're a boss. You're not a boss until you pay people and you fill those them invoices. So just learn as much as you can. Learn from your mistakes. Whatever room you get in, listen more than you speak. And don't be discouraged when doors is slammed in your face. Another thing I live by is closed doors, open windows. So when everybody closed the door on me, I just climbed through the window. and I still got there. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I treat it. But really, it's so hard at the beginning. Like, I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat it. Like, it's really hard. But like Charles said, if you know your why, you're gonna stay the course, and you'll be able to navigate much better than just doing it because you want to do it, because then you're going to start comparing yourself to other people, and you're going to start seeing people moving faster than you, and then you're going to start making decisions based on money and not based on your heart and your gut. And I don't trust people who only make decisions based on money, because that they're willing to do anything for that money. They would stab their own brother for that money. But if people are doing things because they want to be great, that's different. I don't care about the money. I'm going to make the money. But I've been able to make a lot of money because my focus has been, I want to be legendary. I want to be the best. Everybody around me wants to be the best. You know what I'm saying? I was broke trying to figure this stuff out, looking up to Brandon when I'm like, yo, he doing stuff in tech. Bruh, I'm thinking like, oh, that's crazy. I should have stuck with tech. You know what I'm saying? But then you look at it years later, we're able to collaborate on things like this. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own story. You just got to just write your own. And I've designed my life to where I wake up every day and I do what I want, when I want, and how I want. But I'm able to design my life that way because I paid my dues and I learned the game and I carried the backpacks. I was broke. You know what I'm saying? I stayed up all night and I did the work. I could be in the club till 6 o'clock in the morning and have a 9 o'clock class, and I still went to class. So I did all of the grunt work then to now enjoy the spoils. Like, I'm doing this, I'm looking at the ocean. I'm on Miami Beach right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard at first, but don't give up. If a door slammed in your face, cool. It's another door. Keep walking down the hallway. If the doors stay closed, then climb the window. If you can't get through the window, then you're going to have to take a step back and say, you know what? I'm about to build my own door. And there you have it.
Love it. Love it. I know we just got a couple minutes left, and if there's no doors, somebody go through a chimney or something like this. It's a way in.
It's definitely a way in.
Yeah, let me ask a question about just the balance of it all, and like what you do to find joy in things to kind of promote the self-care. Like in design, we know that, you know, we iterate once we find that something fails, we put out a new prototype, but sometimes you got to take a breath and like sit on the beach and just try to, you know, recharge, refuel, and figure things out for the next iteration. So last question I'll ask for Charles first, and then Terrence, like, how do you kind of find ways to rejuvenate, refuel, get back on the good foot to go for that next attempt?
Charles eating deep dish pizza for sure.
For sure. That's in the lineup right there. I think definitely a stress wellness, man. So one of my things is I like to work out. You know, I like to look at somebody holistically, and then for my team and the people around me, I'm trying to make things as impactful and efficient at the same time, so they can have open space, you know, for wellness. And so when you're looking at it, you know, seeing the whole person, and if I can't support my team members, then they can't support the team, the students. If they're not whole, then we don't make the impact we need to make. And so as far as that, and then wellness personally, like I work out, you know, religiously, you know, and that's even a side hustle. So I'm a certified personal trainer, you know, nutritionist coach, all those different things. And so it's like, I put that all in a bundle and be like, yo, I'm working hard, but I'm having fun at the same time. So you got to have these ebbs and flows and understand that when they get hard, you know, that that might be your up, but then that's going to be a low where you can like get some breather in there.
Got you. David, I see that open hand. I'm like lightweight traumatized. Every time I see an open hand on Zoom, it takes me back to the Oscars, man. So Terrence, I'll let you handle that question, and then we'll come back over to David.
My pizza out your mouth. No. I just remember my why. I think sometimes when the industry gets the best of me, or I feel like my back's against the wall, or, you know, I'm just, you know, mental health is key. For me, therapy has helped me a lot to just be able to, you know, being a young Black male, we not really taught how to deal with our emotions. So therapy has really helped me a lot to I've learned some strategies that's kept my head leveled in this game and not getting lost in it. I've seen some of my peers get lost in it, unfortunately. And I go back to those things that I did as a child and or I did before this Hustle Simmons thing in my career. You know what I'm saying? I still watch Revenge of the Nerds. You know what I'm saying? I still listen to old records. Health is key. I'm a Peloton warrior. People who know me know I love the Peloton. I love going to the gym and working out. I've learned how important it is to put, you know, good things into your body. You know, there's been times where I got, you know, eating food late night and drinking and smoking in the studio and all that stuff can catch up to you. So it's not just about physical health, but your mental health as well. So I just try to find those things that make me smile, have those conversations with my daughter. When you're a parent, when you have certain conversations with your kids, they'll show you some stuff that you never, it's like, wow. So I talk to my daughter and I just get rejuvenated, you know what I'm saying? So I just try to, like, you know, find those things that you cared about as a kid. I watched a He-Man episode on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I was freaking out because I haven't seen He-Man in like 30 years, and it was just like, yo, I remember how dope that was. So I just never lose that childlike spirit. And I will say this: as much as you build and network people in like your work world, it's always dope to keep those real friends that don't give one damn about a computer or hit record or none of that. They care about you, and they knew you when you was snotty nose. So, you know, I have certain friends around me that I go hang out with where I'm not Hustle Simmons, I'm just Terrence. They tease me, and it keeps me focused. However, I will say this, it's okay to grow apart from people. Some people don't grow at your same pace. So don't dim your light to make someone else feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're putting that work in. There's some friends I'm not friends with anymore because they didn't understand my dreams and my vision and my why. And they wanted me to just be on the block with them, smoking and being dumb. But now I'm out here, you know, making money and doing certain things, and they couldn't figure out their way. And I tried to help them, but it gets to a point where it's like, yo, I have a daughter, you know, so it's okay. You know, you make people grow with you. Sometimes don't dim your light and feel like you gotta, oh man, I can't be great because my friend ain't great type stuff. But yeah, man, just try to find those things that you did before your success. Like whatever you're doing now, I think that's David. Like David, whatever you do now that makes you happy, whatever records you listen to, whatever movies you listen to, podcasts you listen to, when you get busy and you get successful, sometimes you got to just go back and relive that stuff and relive those moments and just chuckle and do those things that you know, that just, you know, pour back into yourself, pour into your cup. So that's what I do.
Yeah. So David, over to you, man, for the last question. We'll take a little selfie after this, a little group one, and then we'll get y'all out of here. So David, popcorn, over to you, man.
All right. So this involves like the teaching of our class too. It's like you guys were talking about handling a group and like working within a group. And like, I just want to, cause like me and my friend, like we dabble into like a lot of stuff like fashion, video making and stuff, but it's only like me and him. And we always think about adding more people, but then it gets complicated because if they don't see like what we're trying to do, the vision or whatever. So I want some more insight on how you guys like, I guess, handle working in a group or with other people.
Yeah, do y'all have a systematic way? Like as designers, we like always looking at processes and systems and like steps that we could follow. I would ask if there's like a systematic way that you go about what Dave is asking.
Systematically. So systematically, I'm gonna hit the same point I've been hitting. It's like you got to start with a why. And so if you have everybody united to this why, united to this mission, and then you figure out what it is you're trying to achieve, and then there comes a process of figuring out what steps you need to take to get there. Then you're like, all right, what resources do I need to do? And the thing is, all while having people in a group with the same why allows diversity of thought and ideas in order to get to the mission differently or betterly or quicker or malleable, maybe changing and growing and shaping until you can hit, you know, better marks. And so that's what I would say. You know, I'm starting with the why and getting everybody on board with that and stacking it that way.
Yeah, I don't really have a system. I think first you need to master your aesthetic. I think, you know, you have to do every job. You don't have to master every job. You have to do every job so you can understand what's needed. Because it's like, oh man, I need a light guy. But if you never try to like learn the lights a little bit, you don't really know what you're gonna need from that person. So for me, you know, you and your partner, y'all just master y'all aesthetic and you do the work as best as you can. And then certain areas where you need help with, that's when you start going out and finding somebody. And then you start building one at a time, but they got to be on the same mission statement as you. And they got to understand the mission. I've had trouble finding people early in my career because they didn't want to do the work. They just wanted to be VIP. They wanted to be cool, but it's like, you can't be cool without the work. So I guess my best way of describing it is find people that got just as much to lose as you. If they don't have nothing to lose, it's not even gonna work, because this is your baby, you know what I'm saying? This is your brand. So you got to get people that want to win and want to be great just as much as you. So find those people with the same mindset, and and just continue to build. and be transparent. Don't sugarcoat, like be very transparent. Like, hey, we don't have the money to pay you. This is what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? We need your help. If you want to work with us, cool, blah, 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 blah. Don't lie. Don't try to cheat. Don't do all that weird stuff. Just be very transparent, because it might be people that's like, yo, you know what? I just want to win too. So I'll work with you. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. But I think as you go, you're going to figure it out, like what works best for you. Like we can give you all this game and it's great, but what works for me might not work for Charles, what work for Charles might not work for me. But I think at the core of all of this is knowing your why, do the work. And I think the most profound thing that was said today, I think Brandon said that, someone said, like, give yourself some grace.
Yep.
It's gonna be rough, man. Don't get down on yourself. Don't sit up there and compare yourself to the next person and think you're a failure. Just give yourself some grace. And I know if you stay the course a couple years from now, you know, I'll see you and you will be doing big things, and I'll have a check for you. So, but whoever the Brandon kid is, please follow me on Instagram. You ask a lot of good questions. You ask a lot of questions. I love your energy. Anything I can do to help you, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. And my homie too, I'm gonna connect y'all.
Definitely. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we want to throw this last slide out. I'll stop the share, but if y'all wouldn't mind just throw your favorite cheer out into the sphere here for Hustle, Simmons, and for Charles. We appreciate y'all being here and hanging out with us. Like we always do at this time. If you want to come on to video, we'll snap a quick selfie here and we'll get y'all out.
What up, everybody? Okay, I see faces now.
See y'all.
Yeah, what up? Everybody got a blurred background because they didn't clean their room. Got it.
All right, so I kicked this thing off in 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and in 1. Here we go. All right, I'll send this out to the group. But yeah, man, just on behalf of our community here, thank you for dropping some gems. I heard don't code switch, code shift. I heard
a bar.
I heard don't accept the closed door, get through the window. I heard a bunch of different things that we'll probably encapsulate and capture and throw it on Instagram later this week. But man, it's just great to see y'all and the heart that you have for the community. The narrative that you weave helps the students and the community learn that it don't have to be a straight line in order for you to be successful. And then we got a recording here. So for folks that missed it or want to share out to folks that weren't able to grab it and catch it, I think this will be on the YouTube playlist in a couple of days here. So, man, right at 4:20, all of y'all, please drink water, mind your business, have a great rest of the week. Keep your hands to yourself. I mean, you know,
leave people's wives alone.
Yes,
please. We went from Thanos snapping to Will Smith slapping.
Yo, he got bars, yo. This is great. If you ever want to put out an album, let me know, man. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make a record.
For sure.
All right, so I'll kill the recording here, but y'all be easy. Thank y'all again and have a great rest of the evening, y'all.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.